Now, where I've been digging around in the loft, I thought I'd get out my Blitzer Beetle, which I was never happy with when I done it, because I tried to cut corners with cheap paint, and believe me, cheap paint don't work. Because of it, we've got peeling off decals everywhere. If you can see that, paint falling off. So I'm going to do a full strip, but do it completely different to what this has been done. So, but the only thing I'm looking at is, why is it sitting so low on the back? Oh, that is sitting low. So I might increase the spring tension to improve that. I know I could move it in, but it'd be too far in the shocks. But I'm going to put electrics in it, have a play with it first, and then we'll consider the repaint. Now, I've tidied the electrics up and put a receiver in, so that's all neat and tidy. I've tested the servo and that's working perfectly. Next stage is proceeding on to the front, where we had a slight problem. Can you see I've glued a piece back on? So I've looked at the shape of it, and I'm wondering if I can make a piece of plastic to weld onto it and use a slightly longer screw, so it doubles this up with a bit of ABS. It's just how it fits underneath. Can we do it, or is it going to be obtrusive? No, I don't think it's going to be a problem, because it's below the level, if you look. So I think if we add to that, that'll stop that breaking again. But it's just strange how, well, it's not strange, this era of Tamiya, they do use some really brittle plastics. But I think if I can weld something onto there, and it will act as a washer as well, so the screw won't be biting on this, because you can see where, if you look where I've tightened it, and that's made a pressure point. But let's make the bit up, and then I'll service the front axle. So there we go, I've made the little plastic brace, and now I'm going to weld it on, and that will definitely strengthen the weak part there. So that's not a bad little fix. Now I'm starting to put the front end back together, and what I'm going to point out is, if you look, that is quite thick plastic the screw goes into, but it's the piece that goes on. Possibly, no, that just screws into, so that's not a problem. That is quite thick. But it's these tabs here again. See, there's these tabs. Can you see them? They're only thin, and they're not even a cent below. So what I thought, because I think that could be another weak point. As you know, we've repaired, and look, a bit of marker pen, it don't look so bad. Something I don't carry is a lot of black plastic, but that is now strengthened. What I was thinking is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple of thin washer, so it clamps down better, and the weight, well, the stress is stressed onto the washer rather than onto the top of the screw. So I think that is worth doing, just to hopefully make it last that little bit longer, if that makes sense. Because like I said, this screw is not a problem. But these ones, I think they are slightly different. And for a cost of a couple of pence for the washers, you know, I think that's worth it. So the front is finished, except for surfacing the shock absorbers. Like I said, this car's never had much use, but for that to break just under tightening, and that's all it really was. But the little repair piece of plastic, where this ABS I use, is a little bit softer. So use the same screws, but like I said, it's tightening through a much thicker amount, and it's a huge piece of support. I I've not added washers or anything because there's not really room, but the plastic reacts like a washer. I've also added washers now on the inside here, just to change the surface tension on those corners as well. I've just noticed something while I was doing this. I'm going to have to increase the length of the screws here because the shock towers have actually fractured. I don't know if you can see it in the light. See the cracks on that one? There's two there, and there's one this side. So I use slightly longer screws there. Now I've managed to fix the ends of the shock tops, and what I've done is I've used plastic tube. Now the tube I had was too small or too large, so what I did was use a hot gun and stuffed a 6mm drill in, and then fitted a 7 with the heat, and then cut the bits of tube off and super glued them on. That will should stop them splitting anymore and solve the trouble. And like I said, I can see if I've got enough washers to fit this piece back on now. But that's the chassis refurbished, but it's, like I said, for the use it's had, it has got too many brakes. So the chassis is all back together. I've doubled up the spacers on the rear, so there's a bit more, and seems a bit better. I did make a mistake expanding the plastic tube I used, which was to the size I needed. What I did was I used a 6.5mm drill and the heat gun, stretched it to that, and then I stretched it again to the 7mm to fit on, and then, like you know, super glued them on. But it's all functional now. Hopefully with that and the other repair and a few washers, it's made it just that bit stronger, so it will withstand a little bit rough play time. But let's turn it on. Steering's fine. I think we've got to consider gearing up. I'm sure there's not. I think it takes a 20 tooth pinion. So if there's an upgrade page. Unless it tells you at the point in the instructions. Oh, it's a 13 tooth pinion used. It's not what I thought it was. So we've got to find out what other pinion you can use on this. And like I said, next will be a run, and then we'll talk about fixing the body. Like I said, because there's a piece missing out my front panel there, and one of the pins is gone which holds it straight, so I've got to sort that out. Not as well designed as the Sand Scorcher front panel, but the car's serviced up and raring to go, so hopefully to have it out very shortly.